What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo, and finally we have got it. That's right, broky day. We're gonna do broky day. Okay, I'm not doing broky week, I'm not doing broky month, it's broky day. It is the day. We need to, I mean, people were calling for broky month. He got, like, look at the, I mean, just quickly, like, just look at this. I mean, this is Kato, right? I mean, this could be a month of demos. If I wanted to, don't get any ideas, it's not gonna happen. I'm just saying. All right, this demo, I actually thought would be interesting. Another kind of narrative one. The actual demo itself is pretty good. There are some really great rounds to watch and some really great ideas and decision making. It's an overpass T-side demo with the CT round in at the end of it where they played against FaZe, where they played against NAVI, and the idea is broky out carry simple in one of many amazing maps from him at the event where he was the dominant opper. The idea behind this game that's kind of struck me after I read this article from NAVI, which I'll go over at the end of the video, is that broky, maybe he is the player that he's supposed to be. Maybe he isn't supposed to be a guy who gets more and more aggressive. He had a 14.5% opening kill percentage at Kato, which was the second lowest only to Jame, but he also had the highest clutch rounds, the highest KD ratio, the highest KPR, and the highest rating overall, and played the second highest amount of maps, and did it all with his play style. And over the last year and last 2 years, I've been talking about broky intermittently. I'm huge on broky until I watch a demo, and then I see a guy who I feel like is too passive. Broky proved at this event that he can maintain his playstyle and get all the stats, and even actually emphasize how important it is for him to stay alive by putting up so many clutch rounds and helping FaZe win. So maybe broky has developed fully into the player that he should be, and I should stop thinking about broky as a player who should be aggressive just because he's explosive and start thinking about broky as a player who's actually a lot like SH1RO. I'll talk about that more in the video. So hope you enjoy. Stay tuned, and more demos this week. Let me know in the comments who you want to watch. Okay, people are literally calling for broky month after IEM Kato 2022. Not only was broky the MVP of the event and won the event, but he also had one of the strongest MVP runs that I've seen. I mean, first of all, he played such a significant amount of maps. More, Axel was in second, I think. He had a 1.30 rating across the entire event. And the interesting angle I want to come at this demo from is this idea that, I always talked about broky as the rookie who is starting to improve, show his range as an opper, as a player, as a member of FaZe, and starting to do more and more. And while he wasn't aggressive, was explosive, should maybe start to lean into the aggression a little bit more. I'm starting to think that maybe that's not the case. No, what we just saw is FaZe get all their pieces working together, win an S-tier event, literally with a stand-in, have broky at the helm with the highest rating on the op. And while he says that his playstyle did evolve and change, and he tried some new stuff and said maybe he got lucky, ultimately, he still was broky by the numbers. And I think NAVI on HLTV did a great article called Katowice by the numbers, something like that, where he talked about some of the different storylines in the players, all from a stats perspective. And wow, look at this round from broky. What we saw actually was really interesting. He led the entire tournament in KD, KPR, so kills per round, and KD differential. Overall rating across 16 maps was one of the highest amount of maps played at the event. Of course, FaZe love to go 3 maps, love to go overtime, love to go, whatever. Still close the final in 3, but overall. But also had the second lowest opening kill attempt rate at 14.5%. And that's when it struck me, I realized that my bias talking about broky and some of these other players, these rookies that have come up, I could have put them in the same pile when they're all different people. And let me cut to the chase. I talked about Bit and how he started to become more aggressive and learn where he can, where the edges of the cards are, and knows where he can take opening duels and do it for pushes and stuff like that. But not all great players need to be like that. And we have a perfect example in SH1RO as somebody who works perfectly within the Gambit system, isn't the guy who's taking all of the opening duels, yet his team sees massive success off their opping style. And NAVI called it modern opping, which I thought was a great way to put it, where a lot of oppers are leaning into less deaths, right? More kills. And of course, with less deaths comes more kills with the exit frags and stuff like that, where the least consequential frags, even if they have some impact. But the important part about it is that the op is very expensive, and as people get better at Counter-Strike and teams become more and more perfect round by round, there's a lot more saving. And as long as you have that op in play, even if you're saving around it, you still have a much higher chance to win the round because people are so good. And broky, I look at this guy and I think he's not SH1RO. You know, he is a guy who looks a lot more explosive, but again, not aggressive. And technically, that's not far off from what SH1RO is. So, you know, I wanted to look at this game as one where Will sent it to me and he said he out carried Simple. Let's watch this one. So I thought that would be a good one. And on T side, he had the highest rating here on T side. He also had the highest rating on CT side, just carried the entire map. But I wanted to take a look at this T side and see, you know, is he actually a lot like SH1RO? And that's the last guy I thought I would compare broky to, but the numbers add up. And I feel like I've constantly, over the year, talked about how much he's gotten better. And, you know, we are seeing him take more initiative and stuff like that. But every time I'd watch a demo, I'd see, wow, it doesn't really look like he's actually the first guy out. The man swinging mid. The dude who's looking for opening duels. And yet he still is able to play well. And again, his team converts off of his impact. Or he's the one who converts. And I think the other biggest thing was that he led the tournament in clutches. That's a SH1RO stat. Okay, SH1RO is the guy contending for Simple's record of clutches in an event. And broky just had, I think, 9 or 10 1vx's won in this event. I mean, you better believe that when you have clutches that high, the result of the entire tournament would be different if you didn't have those clutches, guaranteed. So here's another situation, you know, late into the play from broky with the bomb, nose flashing for himself at a monster just to draw their attention, but then coming out a little bit delayed and killing it. And yeah, you know, maybe the evolution of these rookies, even though it feels like at first they're a little bit too passive, for sure, even when they become perfect or very good, they aren't necessarily also going to play like Simple or play like ZywOo, because again, players like SH1RO are tailing very closely behind those players and in systems that work just as well, maybe even better than that of NAVI or whatever. And it's not to say that one playstyle is the best playstyle. It's just that one playstyle might be the best for one player or one team. FaZe, I thought when they brought in this stand-in in JKS, we're going to have a problem of being too weak in the front and very strong in the back. broky coming in slow, Rop's coming into the team, a lot of clutch players overall. But dropping Rain out for JKS, who Rain's spots, some of them lined up with JKS, but some of the aggressive positions, and especially T-side duties, did not line up well with between JKS and Rain. But what we saw was JKS just did his job. He came through and had some of the most opening kills and success in those opening attempts, and basically was Rain in that way. And that showed his versatility. And that's something that Sponge went on record and said, hey, I used to tell JKS, I can't stand watching you stay alive for so long. Just go out and die. Just go out and die sometimes. And JKS showed that, he didn't even just show up to the job. He did the job like he'd been doing it for years. I think that's the big thing. But yeah, we're here to watch broky find ways into the round on T side and see if things really have changed just by watching the actual demo itself. So the stats are a very nice way to kind of set up the story, but ultimately, you're not going to lie to people's eyes. They see the game, they see a guy baiting, they see a guy in the back, and that's all that's going to matter. So, all right. Some good stuff in the beginning. Jumping gun here. This nade is, of course, a good response to any smoke that comes out aggressively. That smoke that the CTs throw can allow the CTs to take over stairs control. You can also play on top of it. Sometimes it's good to wait the smoke out, then molly to make sure no one's balloons. Sometimes you want to call out their bluff and save the molly in the first place. It's kind of a time game, but there's a few key smokes that can really draw so much attention, so many resources, slow things down whether you realize it or not. So that one in mid from the CT perspective is one of them. And we see as they kind of scale now, broky is pretty much always waiting behind somebody, ready to refrag. And listen, if one of your players is the best at clutching on the team, don't have him entry. You know, it's pretty cut and dry. And I don't mean to say that in any kind of condescending way, because I was the first guy to say, hey, broky, get out there. But in reality, that might not be the case. That might actually have kind of changed my perspective on it, I think, with this event. And it's especially when the playstyle coalesces with the tournament wins, right? The fact that they can close the event out. Okay, here's another clean one. No problem. Let's see what we do. Op and play. T-side overpass is very welcoming to ops. It's, you know, not like Inferno or some other maps you might want to skip it. Overpass is, it's very common to buy your own op on T-side. You don't always want to do it if you don't have to, but... Oh, we see a couple of times now with the, you know, that nose flash where he tried to put some pressure on Monster, then came out late. Here he throws a smoke down, but then he just waits behind it. Sees if someone will come through with the re-aggression. And as the phase machine gets churning, we'll see how broky can fit into the round. FaZe also had the highest T round win percentage. And then again, that is with broky on a 14.5 attempt rate. Second only to Jame in terms of lowest attempt rate, which should be a damning stat, you know, if you want to say that broky is supposed to be aggressive. But again, he proved that this works, whatever he's up to. So cool part. Yeah, definitely a cool part about FaZe is the T-side calling from Kerrigan. And I think he kind of gives everyone the keys. He says, hey, if you feel an opening, go for it. And you can tell that they scrim out a lot in certain spots. Makes them very hard to read. I think one of the hardest teams to read right now. I think some rounds look silly because of that, but if you play enough of those gambits, and sometimes you can have like a really rock solid T-style that's just super hard to get ahead of from the CT perspective. And it's the fact that FaZe are not scared to take those risks, I think, is their biggest strength. They have a lot of very strong individuals, of course, and I think Kerrigan wants to try to emphasize that as much as possible. In the past, I feel that it was a flash for the top of stairs. In the past, I feel it was a problem of Kerrigan on that page with the rest of his team not, when he was on Mouse Sports, where he was taking the lead, going out very, very, very far ahead of his teammates, looking for opening trades, but wasn't really consistent enough to always get them. And then the team would kind of fail behind him. Like, no matter what, even if you have Rops and Frozen on your team, if, you know, Kerrigan and Chris J go out and die without a kill, there's only so much that Rops and Chris J can do. Now, Rops and Frozen can do. In this situation, you've got Rain, who's been very strong, Kerrigan, who's been strong enough and actually had a great event individually as well. Shout out to Kerrigan for recovering off of groups, by the way, because, you know, he's a guy who's gone through some very difficult losses, maybe some of the most. Him and Nico especially. The whole FaZe team in general have always been, you know, the groomsmen ever the groom. And have been a dark horse, but that's about it. And I think mentally, you know, it can be great to have some reps and to take some losses and to learn from those losses. But too many of those, and then you're suddenly losing confidence. And even if you were good enough in the first place, you simply don't have the confidence. And teams that don't know what it's like to lose in very terrible ways will have an edge over you. So I think it speaks a lot to how much work Kerrigan has been putting in mentally and in game as well, to be able to kind of withstand having again a really tough group stage finish where they played against NAVI. Kerrigan went 9-28 or something like that on the final map. I think he got like 8 of his kills in 2 rounds and then just didn't frag at all, even though it went to overtime. And then came into playoffs and, you know, could have very easily just bowed out in the quarterfinals, made it through semis, got into finals, and won the whole damn thing. That was a really nice try. Oh, we've actually watched most of the rounds that FaZe win in this half already, unfortunately. We saw some good moves from broky, though. Maybe I'll actually spin it up. Maybe I'll actually... We can watch some of the CT rounds and see as well. I mean, T side and CT side, you can still show a lot. Let's see how this one goes. Again, a lot of bait flashes. So much distance between him and his opponents at all times. The Latvian laser. This lurk smoke is key. That lurk smoke can be so annoying because if nobody's playing on the right side of monster and that someone throws a smoke like that out, imagine you're sitting at barrels or trying to see on the other side of the smoke. It's already very common for T's to walk out of monster. So now you see that lurk smoke and you're like, God damn it. Like I have to either throw a bunch of utility, clear this out, or just hope it's a fake. And that can be a really great way to do what FaZe are doing right now and starting to work towards the A site. Especially, again, if you're calling out that they're not playing on the right side of monster there. Bit close up on the barrels. No trade comes through. Yeah, finally bit is found. broky waited him out smartly. That's well done. 2 on 3. Could it happen? No, it won't. Simple will take that trade all day. Let's see if there's more to talk about here. Wow, 3 nades just for anybody who will be doing the spotting beside monster or crossing over to the other side of monster. Again, key area of the map. Oh man, this is a super quiet round. I think this is, wow, this is one of the tricky tactics that Kerrigan likes to call, where he'll actually just walk all the way up. Okay, not this round. They pull a flash. Gambit does this, where they walk entirely all the way up through bathrooms, because sometimes CTs play together on A, and they'll play double up on long, or they'll play in CT spawn with stairs control. And if they do that, then if bathrooms is clear and you don't think anyone's playing on the barrels, or you don't see one guy in a key position you know he likes to be in normally, then you can just get a free plant. And this actually is a situation where they do get that. So they throw one flash late out bathrooms, just in case Bit was up on the barrel, something like that. And now they've got a full-on post plant. So in these post plant positions, you can't all have the best spots on the site. And if you take this position, you play too perfect in the post plant, then what's going to happen is the CTs will have enough utility and enough players to throw that utility and cover each other that you could just risk the bomb getting defused with multiple players alive. So really key what Kerrigan does there, just sitting on default, allowing broky to hold his right side and take some early fights. And it's really good if you just go down 1 for 1, because as the clock is ticking down, there's less of a chance NAVI can get back in, even with even numbers. But yeah, like in a 2v2 post plant, Kerrigan's not going to sit on default and watch long, right? He's going to go back to bathrooms because the utility is going to be low for the CT side. They're not going to be, they still probably wouldn't expect him to be there, but he could just have a much better fight. But instead, he sits on default. His teammate can stay close bathrooms. They can push CT. They can play top stairs, whatever it is. Okay, the entry pack comes through. Working behind, they'll molly out barrels. This is actually huge because it forces anybody off of that position. They're covering it from short. This is really nice how they transition to this post plant so cleanly. This one smoke from the barrels and the pillar, that can be from the CT side, but they might not have been ready for the late molly, and Electronic shoots some feet there. broky with the jump. Almost got back that advantage. That was a cute trick. Maybe we'll try something a bit faster. I think this is where, I watched this. I definitely watched this game. This is where NAVI starts to get back on their feet, so see if they can pull this off. Now we're trying to wrap this pillar if possible. That was the pillar guy, so now he can chill. 2v4, honestly, if they could pull this off. I think FaZe have been playing some of the best mid rounds, honestly, in these positions. broky might be exposed behind him. I don't know if he might be low enough. And he has shadow advantage on anyone coming out of monster, so he's just holding. There it is. That's pretty much all he needs. And Twist so smartly comes up to the pillar. And once this happens, and he wins this engagement where Pit thinks there's no way that he can be this close, Pit actually smoked for anybody who would be back Pit and tap the bomb to force that peek. So very nice reposition from Twist. See broky not getting tunnel vision there, seeing that he wants to try to help, but he's got another rifle, and they could be trying to pinch from long and balloons. Always worried about the lurks. Make sure when you run up long like this, you're running up from the outside. So you can't be heard. And most of his utility, I feel like, goes into just all the bait flashes in the mid round, since he ends up playing very late into the round. It's hard to quantify how much impact comes of it, but they won the tournament, so what else is there to ask? This is a wash. I can't believe broky wins this round. Oh, so close. All right, let's check it out. A bonus round here on CT side. Apparently I had a highlight here. Apparently I casted this game. I just don't even remember. So you can't, it's been a flurry, but okay. Let's see what happens. I just checked the highlight. I didn't spoil it, but I mean, I literally I casted it, so I should remember, but I don't. I'm going to remember when it happens. Old man launders will be like, oh, yes, I remember perfectly. All right, this could be huge. Oh man, this was actually a sick. I remember, yes, I remember it's coming to me now. This is so kind of smartly done from broky. Look at this, how he pops up. What a defense. And then, you know, he doesn't even need Rain, who's sitting down here, waiting to trade him out. Oh, beautiful no scope. Oh my god. So fast with it. That's why you keep him alive. That's a highlight in and of itself. It's just disgusting. And that was a spot where he just didn't feel like he had much room to work with. But he is a caged beast. And that's the explosiveness, right? If they come to him, he's Jackie Chan in the arcade. I don't want trouble. He doesn't want to fight. But if you make him fight, he's going to kick your ass. Broccoli. No one's going to come for him. Just make sure. I always skip right when the last kill happens. I don't know if you got a fourth. No way now. Impossible. It's over. Okay. A great round. All right. That was nice. Okay. That's broky. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and take a look here at the stats for you guys. We can take a look at this broky game. So, again, let's just... so 1280 by 960. All the settings I'm grabbing off of pro settings. Not looking at the streams all the time. 1.30 across 16 maps. Second highest maps played behind G2, who like to go max maps as well. MVP race, here it is. 14.5 opening kill percentage. Second lowest to Jame. KD, I mean, all this is just insane. And yeah, his surviving stats were really high too, so, or very low, depending on how you look at it. Look at the ratings. I mean, it's actually unbelievable, the kinds of ratings that we saw across the entire event. I don't think this is even Kato, if I'm not sure. This is the play-in. So right after the play-in ended, he had one red rating for what it's worth. And he still had a fine game, and they still won the match. But, I mean, actually extraordinary stuff. It looks like broky has maintained being himself and also has flourished with this lineup. And, yeah, FaZe are looking great this year. Broky's a huge part of it. Congratulations to FaZe for winning. And congratulations for broky for getting his first MVP and doing it at such a prestigious event. Hope you enjoyed that. As always, be safe.
Looking for a plate, that's why the dogs up early. With it white beard, eating like a mixed flurry. I ain't got time to chill, I'm in a hurry. P the game, I got it for my daddy ho. Smoking dope, reciting raps out on the patio. you ain't